Once again, if you haven't done so yet, feel free to type into the chat box. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Looks like we've got Reno in the house tonight. We've got Stan from Wisconsin in the house tonight. Beverly Beelman is here. Welcome. Hello, Barb from Georgia is in the house. And Bend, Oregon. Mick and Vic Karchner are here tonight. On that note, folks, I want to be prompt. I want to get started on time tonight. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to jump right into tonight's presentation. I appreciate you being here. So first and foremost, Los Angeles in the house. Got to make sure that we get LA in the house. Got to represent on the West Coast as well. So thank you so much for being here. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Travis Flaherty. First and foremost, I am a husband and a father. I've been married for 20 years. I have 6 children. I always start with that because it's what I'm most proud of in life. I am an entrepreneur through and through. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 plus years, both on the traditional business side, as well as is on the network marketing side. You know, I like to think that I am not so much a network marketer as I am a businessman that uses the network marketing distribution model to distribute products all around the world. And right now we are involved with a company that we're all here to talk about tonight called Uforia Science. And I'm excited to really break down the evaluation process that I went through tonight as I looked at this opportunity. But before we get into that, I'd like to start by just sharing with you a little bit of our story. A lot of times there's misconceptions about network marketing in general. A lot of people don't understand it. And sometimes when we don't understand something, we tend to avoid it or even stay away from it. You know, I know that I did that for a very long time. And I remember hearing something once that stood with me, a quote that I'm going to share with you tonight. And that is, the height of all stupidity is forming an opinion without knowing all the facts. And that's something that I did for a long time. You know, my wife and I, first and foremost, started off, we live here in Arizona. We used to own a small health club chain here. And because we owned gyms, we had all kinds of people. Whenever they got involved in the direct sales industry, we would get that call. And they would just say, listen, you guys would be great if you would just join our team. And, you know, I think because we had so many different members in a number of locations that everybody wanted us to join their company, join their business. And we had a lot of preconceived notions about the network marketing industry. We chose to avoid it altogether. Can anybody relate to that when they first heard about network marketing? I'm sure some of you guys probably can relate as well. But we chose to kind of stay away, and we built up our traditional business for some years. At that time, I had 3 young children. We had 3 children that were 3 years of age or under. So life was pretty hectic. We had 3 in diapers. I was going to work at about 5:30 in the morning to open up the gym, and I was there all day long. I was there in the evenings. Summer would bring the kids up to the office sometimes at night, because that was the only time that I really had a chance to see them, because by the time that I got home, they were already asleep. I was there on the weekends. And so, you know, I was investing a lot of my time into this traditional business. And I've always, you know, entrepreneurs are kind of a rare breed. Entrepreneurs would rather work 80 to 100 hours for themselves than they would 40 hours for someone else. Anybody relate to that? Drop an I in the comment section if you can relate. And so for me, I always knew that I was going to own my own businesses. And so we were building this traditional business. And after a number of years of doing that, and we had a lot of employees and a lot of overhead and a lot of stress, I started realizing that wasn't the quality of life that I was after. You know, I don't know if we have any traditional business owners that are on the presentation tonight, but man, I'll tell you what, it seems like you want time to go by really, really fast, then just be an employer, because it seems like every 2 weeks when you have to pay payroll, time just goes by. You're like, are you kidding me? Payroll's already here again. So we did that for a number of years and got burnt out on it. And we eventually ended up selling our business. It was called Synergy. And we sold those gyms and we moved up to Utah. Anybody here from Utah tonight? So we moved up to Utah. And if you've never been to Utah before, beautiful, beautiful country. But what you may not know is that Utah is like the Mecca of network marketing. I mean, it is the Mecca of direct sales. There's tax benefits for these type of companies, and just culturally, it works with Utah. And so I remember when we first even pulled into town and I started to see all of these different buildings. You know, if you're driving in from the south on the I-15 corridor, there's this one Taj Mahal of a building, and it used to be called New Ways. has a big seashell at the top of it, and it's this giant building, and it kind of sets the stage as you drive in to the Valley of Utah there. And then one after another, you start to see these companies. And I remember just seeing all these funny names, right? I would look up and I'd see Zija, and then I'd see Zri, and then I'd see Zango, and then I'd see, Mona V, how do you even pronounce that? And I'd see all these funny names. I had no idea what they were, but I thought they were interesting because they were these giant buildings. I mean, you could tell that these were thriving companies. And so we moved into our neighborhood, and it didn't take long before we made friends in the neighborhood. In fact, I thought, man, everybody here is really friendly. We started getting invitations to go to people's home and to go to dinner at their house. And I remember the first time that I went to a dinner in the neighborhood at our home. And after dinner, everybody kind of started setting up chairs, and they're like facing this front of the room. And I'm like, man, this is kind of interesting. Where we can play some kind of game. And then they put up a whiteboard, and I'm thinking, man, what is this, like charades? And then the presenter comes out and starts doing this presentation, and it was a network marketing presentation, and he starts drawing bubbles on a board. And I just remember thinking, where am I? What is this? And it was so funny because that was our first exposure really to being invited to look at a network marketing company. And we had all kinds of preconceived notions. So we were thinking, oh my gosh, did we get invited? Is this one of those cultish things? Or, we were just really kind of weirded out by it. So that was my first introduction into network marketing, and we chose obviously not to get involved at that point in time. And we started another business. So we started another business in Utah as a lead generation company. And there I was, I started again. I had an office, brick and mortar office, tons of money invested into the company. I was responsible for all the marketing, all the overhead. Payroll started growing again. And I found myself after a couple of years kind of in the same situation. We had, everybody on the outside looking in would say, oh, we're successful, but I really didn't have the quality of life that I was looking for. And something interesting happened. So, I developed some relationships and friendships, and really good friend of mine, guy by the name of Steve, that lived in the neighborhood with us. He approached me, and he said, and by then, I'd been around network marketing and started to, meet people that were involved in the industry, and realizing that it wasn't necessarily taboo and that this was something that people did to create additional revenue streams. And my friend Steve approached me, and he says, listen, there's this new company launching. Now, this is in October of 2005. He says, there's this new company launching. And I don't know that much about the industry, Travis, but what I do know is that if you can position yourself in the beginning stages with a company that has all of the signs of becoming one of those next giants in the industry, there's a lot of money that can be made. And I'm going to do this. I've looked at the opportunity. It makes sense. I'm all about additional revenue streams. And I think you should come do this with me. And I remember kind of getting all those kind of weird, funny feelings again, like, I don't know, I own a real business, right? I'm a real business owner. And I didn't look at that as a real business at the time. And so I chose not to go and look at the opportunity with him and continue doing what I was doing. And maybe about 6-7 months later, I remember I was driving to my office in the morning, and I pulled up there and right up at the curb, the corner where he lived. And I started to turn right, and there he was. And he's on his green lawnmower, John Deere lawnmower. He's got his little boy sitting on his lap. And I kind of teased him, we had a good relationship. I pulled up, and it was like 9 o'clock. And I said, hey, don't you have to be at work? Just teasing him. It was middle of the week. And he said, that thing that I shared with you about 6-7 months ago, he said, that company really, really has taken off for us. And he said, in fact, I actually sold my traditional business. He owned an airplane parts brokerage business. He would bring parts in from China. And he said, I actually sold that business, and now I'm doing this full time. I said, really? He says, yeah, it's going really well. And he says, man, I'm telling you, you really should come take a look at what it is that I'm doing. And I'll tell you guys that, and there's a lesson in this. I remember pulling away thinking maybe I missed an opportunity. Like maybe I shouldn't have been so quick to judge or so quick to just make a decision about something without really knowing all of the facts. And it kind of just I don't know if you've ever felt like you've missed out on an opportunity before. Anybody felt like that, where you're just kind of like, man, maybe I shouldn't have just prejudged that. And so I ended up, he invited me to come take a look at the opportunity again, and I decided to go take a closer look. And I chose to do so because of my respect level for him. I respected him, and so I did. I decided to take a look at the opportunity, and what I found was not at all what I perceived. What I found was a great way to start building an additional revenue stream, building another income-producing asset. And it's kind of interesting because my philosophy up to that point, it really was in alignment with the direct sales industry. So I believe that, I believe in acquiring what I call our IPAs. Okay, if you really want to create true freedom in your life, I mean, I'm talking about time freedom, doing the things that you want to do rather than the things that you have to do. I call it your financial freedom day, right? It's the day that you no longer have to trade your time for dollars. You can do the things you want to do rather than what you have to do. And so to do that, I believe that you have to acquire IPAs. Now, IPAs are income producing assets. Income producing assets. And the goal of an income producing asset is to create residual income, right? Residual money. Money that continues to come to you whether you go to work or not. That's the ultimate goal, right? If you're starting a traditional business, what's the ultimate goal? It's to get to the point where that business is producing enough cash flow and it doesn't necessarily require all of your time, right? Your time is the greatest commodity that you will ever have. You'll never get that time back. Your time is priceless. And so the goal is to develop enough income producing assets. And I don't believe in just maybe having one, that developing multiple income streams, right? And that's the key to developing true leverage, true security in your life. And so up to that point, residual income for me, I was working on my traditional business, and that was kind of my goal, is to build that out. I had an interest in real estate, so I started investing in real estate at that point. And so, when I started to look at network marketing, what I found was an additional income producing asset. But here was the difference. This was the thing that kind of stood out to me, is on all of the things that I was looking at that point in time. We did have some investments over here, right? You put your money to work for you when you start to develop some money. But at this point, what I was looking at, if I compared all three, and this would be network marketing, this would be real estate, this was traditional businesses. My traditional business required a significant investment. We have some friends that are on our team, and they may even be on here tonight, Tom and Stacy, who I know they own is it Papa Murphy's franchise. And I think he said that it cost several $100,000 or $400-something thousand to start a Papa John's, Papa Murphy's franchise. Sorry, I get the Papas mixed up. Sorry, guys. So, you think about that, but why do people do that? Why do people spend money on a franchise? Typically because they want to have a proven system, right? A turnkey system that already has proven itself to work, and you just plug yourself into that system. When I started my traditional gyms, every time that we would launch a gym, it would cost no less than $250,000 to go get the doors open. And that was, relatively small gyms and leasing the equipment, doing all of those things. And so even when we started the lead generation business, cost us a tremendous amount of money because we had to go get our offices, all of the furniture in the offices we had to hire, we had to do all the marketing. So that's on the traditional business side. And then there was a tremendous amount of time, right? Sweat equity that goes into it. Real estate, same thing. We were putting it cost a lot of money to get into the real estate space, especially when you're looking at investment properties. You have to have a little bit more money down on the investment property or second home type of situation. Plus, you also have to have great credibility if you really want to go far in this space. And so, and then I looked at network marketing. And network marketing, the thing that I saw that was in stark contrast to these other two is that the money investment or the upfront investment was very, very low. We were talking, I think that first business was about $1,000, and I came in at the highest level. So you could get started for a few $100s up to $1,000 in comparison to hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that was something that caught my attention. And then the other thing that really caught my attention is that I didn't have to have credibility. I didn't have to have a degree, right? Like sometimes if you were comparing a job, you sometimes have to have a degree to continue to increase your wages. My past experiences didn't matter, and there was really no ceiling on the amount of income. And so for me, I looked at that, and I think the best thing that I liked about this is that you could start in your part-time or your spare time. Jim Rohn used to say something that I love. He used to say, go to work full-time to pay your bills, but in your part-time or spare time, work on building your fortune. And today, in this day and age, a side gig is no longer just a luxury. It's a necessity, right? Because things are getting more and more expensive, right? The average household income in the United States right now is right at about $4,500 per month. That's combined household income. Think about that just here in the United States. So $4,500, and you pay a house payment out of that, $1,500, whatever, $2,000, you make a couple of car payments, you make some, you pay on some credit cards and maybe some health insurance, and what do you have left? So the side gig allows you to be able to start creating that extra income. And what I love here is that rather than investing time, what you were going to invest is sweat equity. Sweat equity. And I liked that. I liked that idea. And so we decided to get involved. After I looked at it, it wasn't at all what I perceived it to be. What I saw was something that made sense. And so we got started in that business. And that first year for us, we built it part-time, spare time. We weren't all in at that point, and we made somewhere in the neighborhood of about $30,000 extra that first year. And I can tell you that for us, I kind of joke now and I say that it was summer shoe money. You guys know women love shoes. And so we had our traditional business that paid the bills, but in the part-time or spare time, we were building a side business and it was creating extra income, and it was kind of fun money for us. And so it allowed us to be able to start taking some trips that we hadn't been able to do before together as a family. I remember we went to Disneyland for the first time, which was such a big deal when I had 3 little princesses and they got to go and do all of that. And we started paying down some debt, and it allowed us to get ahead. And that was really, really cool. And I think a lot of people misinterpret network marketing. They think that it's this get rich quick deal, or, they associate it with get rich quick scams. And I got to tell you that we own some of the blame for that. We have to accept some of the responsibility for that, because a lot of network marketers are out there selling hype. They're setting false expectations. They're wanting people to think that you can get something for nothing just by signing up. As this is a business, just like any other business. My gym business franchise, the lead generation businesses, those took time to build to get to a position of profitability. Network marketing does the same thing. And so I think that we own a little bit of that blame, but it's a real business. And what I found is that network marketing was really accommodating, helping the average person create an additional revenue stream in their life, right? I would ask you to consider for a moment, if you were to just even generate an extra $500 to $1,000 a month, you built an income producing asset that was generating an extra $500 to $1,000 a month. Would that make a difference for you? It might make a huge difference for some of you. Some of you are thinking, yeah, that would make my car payment, or it would allow me to slowly get out of debt, or maybe take an extra 1 to 2 vacations every year. What's the number one reason that people have a divorce, right? They fight over what? Money and finances. And so that might just create a little bit of a burden. How many of you, just by show of hands or drop an I in the comment section, how many of you know someone that'll go to bed tonight saying a prayer asking for financial solutions? Drop an I in the comment section if you know someone that will go to bed tonight saying a prayer asking for financial solutions. Now, I'm guessing that all 30 plus of you that are on this webinar now, and many of you that are watching the replay, know someone that'll go to bed tonight. And so the truth is that extra $30,000, it really made a difference for us. And then as we kept going, that second year, that grew to about almost $50,000. But remember, this was a part-time business. We still had our traditional income coming in. We were working part-time hours at that point. But ultimately, what ended up happening was 2008 came along. And for us, 2008 was absolutely devastating. Anybody relate? We had started investing in real estate. Our business relied primarily on the mortgage industry. So we were selling leads inside of the mortgage industry. We lost everything. I mean, everything. All of our money was invested in these homes, and we were building them, and the market just collapsed. And so it was one of the most humbling experiences that I ever went through. And ultimately, the only thing that we had left after 2008 was this one income producing asset. And that was how we put food on the table. And there's a lesson in that as well. A lot of times people tend to call me. My friends call me, when they call me about what I do, when they are in desperate situations, when they're in, their back is against the wall, and they call me and they say, listen, I need to make some money. And the truth is when's the best time to plant a tree, right? The best time to plant a tree was years ago, right? But the second best time is today. The best time to start a business is when things are good, right? When your situation is good, that's when you want to get additional revenue streams going. And so for us, we were so thankful that we had that going. Now, I still lost my home. I had my car repossessed, guys. I had perfect credit up to that point. I was about 30 years old. Up to that point, everything we had touched had turned to gold. Lost everything. And so here we had this little side business, and I looked at our options. My options were either A, to go get a job. I didn't have a college degree. I've always had that entrepreneurial mindset. I didn't have a lot of experience other than running my own business. And if you've ever tried to go get a job and you put that you have owned your own businesses on your resume, People don't care. Like that doesn't apply in the inside of the box corporate America world where you've got to have this degree to get this job. And that's changing, by the way, but it's still there. And so what we ended up doing is we said, well, you know what, if we were able to accomplish this in our part-time or spare time, I wonder what would happen if we went all in. And so we went all in. And, you know, in the course of 2009, we went to work and we really started building that business. And I always say that in this business, it's not that hard to create an extra income stream. It's really not. I mean, you can do that in even almost a few hours a week. You can create an additional revenue stream. But what happens is when you get into the business, you can create an extra income stream. But when the business gets in you, that's when you start to become really contagious, right? When you really start to understand the power of leverage and the ability, the power that you hold to be able to go out and help other people and change other people's lives. That's really what this industry is about, is helping other people get what they want, and you can have everything that you want in life. And so we went to work. And over 2009, just so you know, I actually did have to go and get a job during that period of time just to kind of help pay the bills. But we went to work, and by 2010, we had replaced our income that we had with those traditional businesses. In fact, we had exceeded it, but it was a residual income stream. And I share this whole story with you because I want you to, the point of the story that I want you to understand is that my quality of life completely changed at this point. I no longer had employees. I no longer had that same stress of payroll every 2 weeks. And I mean, just the overwhelming feeling of trying to carry it all. I didn't have any employees. I didn't have any overhead. I was working from home. I was walking my kids to the bus stop in the morning for the first time in my life. I was home when they got home from school. We started traveling together as a family. And from 2010 until 2020, we have now been full-time network marketing professionals. We've been blessed to earn millions of dollars in this industry. And I will tell you that it's allowed us to be able to create amazing life experiences with the people that we love and care about most. And through that, I have now been able to, you know, I was talking to my friend Nick, who's on this presentation tonight, and we were talking today, and I said, you know, Nick, I've often looked at other things, you know, that you could go and do. I often get that itch to go invest in another traditional business, or I've looked at other opportunities, and I just can't find anything else out there that gives you the kind of leverage and the freedom and the unlimited earning potential that network marketing offers. Even when you compare it to, you know, a job, you know, if you look at a job, for example, you know, if you look at what the investment is in a job, sometimes it's sweat equity. You have to go to school, working hours. You're working, you know, by the time you leave the house and come home, you're 10 to 11 hours a day. Education and degree is often required to advance. Work experience, you've got to have experience to be able to continue to move up that ladder. Job security in a job, is there job security, real job security in a job? Not really. Income levels are sometimes, in most cases with a job, there's a ceiling, right? Somebody else is determining what your worth is. And so, you know, then I looked at, you know, traditional businesses and the same thing. The investment was significant. The working hours were significant. Education, didn't have to have an education, didn't necessarily have to have work experience. There really wasn't a lot of security there. And the income fluctuated. And with network marketing, what I found is that with the low barrier of entry, you get to set your own hours, no requirement on education, you determine your worth. I just still can't find anything else out there that compares to what it is that we do. So I share that with you just so that if you have some preconceived notions about the network marketing industry, that perhaps you'll open your mind a little bit to the possibilities, especially right now, because it's never been easier. Now, I want to be clear. Network marketing is not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy, right? Because it requires daily action. It requires a commitment, consistency, personal growth, all of those things. And those things are sometimes hard to do, right? Sometimes it's the simplest things that we do daily that are the hardest things, right? Getting up and going to the gym every day, right? It seems like such a simple thing, but why do so many people struggle with it, right? John Maxwell says, you'll never change your life until you change something that you do daily. So for me, you know, I love the network marketing space, and I would encourage you just to open your mind to the possibilities of what this industry can do for you. You know, I always tell people it's not get rich quick, but it is get rich possible. But it does require hard work and smart work and dedication and commitment. Now, I want to get into Uforia a little bit tonight. I want to talk to you a little bit about why we chose Uforia. So first and foremost, after being in this industry for quite some time, and we've now been top distributors in the industry for over a decade, we have been on the consulting side. So we've consulted with a number of network marketing companies over the years. We've also been owners of in the network marketing industry. So we've kind of had a well-rounded viewpoint, vantage point of this industry and what it takes to be successful. And the things that I really look for when I'm evaluating an opportunity are maybe sometimes different than what other people look for. And that's what I want you to see, and I want you to just understand. I had some notes for myself, but I don't know where they went, so we're just going to shoot from memory on this. That's okay. I think I've got them all down. I've been doing this a while, so I think we'll be all right. But the first thing that I look for when I evaluate an opportunity is I really look for, or to the owners of that company. I look for the people that are at the helm, so to speak, right? I'm looking for past performance. I believe that the best predictor of future performance is past performance. And when I looked at Uforia, one of the things that I was so impressed with was the ownership, right? I mean, first and foremost, you have Ron Williams, who's the CEO of our company, been in the industry for 30 years, so he's got 30 years of experience. He doesn't look it. He's got 30 years of experience. He used to be the senior executive at that company, New Ways. I was sharing with you that when you drive into the Valley in Utah. He then became a CEO of Young Living Essential Oils, which today he actually helped pioneer the essential oil movement. It's a big, big company today. And then he started his own company called Forever Green that he took public, ran for 17 years, ultimately retired a few years ago to be with his children. He was kind of, ready, spent all this time on the road and decided that it was time for him to spend some time with his children. And so he came out of retirement after a few years to become the CEO of Uforia. So you have tremendous track record for success. What I can tell you about Ron is that he is not your traditional CEO. He's a visionary. He is brilliant when it comes to marketing. He loves to be out there in the field. He's actually one of us. He's always out there on the road helping build the business, which I appreciate. Then you have Terry LaCour. And Terry LaCour is, if you've never heard his name before, he has an amazing story. So Terry has been around also about 30 years in the industry. Started off as a distributor, became a #1 distributor and earner in a company, and then he started a company called Market Vision in '96. Market Vision today is the most sought-after back-end software support system for direct sales companies. So if we wanted to start a company, we needed a back-end software support, and we wanted the best, we would go to Market Vision. 2000, he started a company called LaCour Enterprises. Today, LaCour Enterprises is one of the top and largest fulfillment companies in the entire world. They have about 600 employees right there in McKinney, Texas. They fulfill for hundreds of network marketing companies. In addition to that, Terry also likes to launch companies whenever he comes across unique technologies in the marketplace, and he likes to bring these new technologies to market. And over the last even 5 or 6 years, he's launched some significant companies that have gone on to do hundreds of millions of dollars in sales, some very prominent and relevant companies in the marketplace today. There's nobody better when it comes to logistics. And then you have Eric Worre. And Eric Worre is over all of our training. And Eric Worre, some of you may know, is the top, most recognized network marketing trainer in the world today. And Eric serves the industry. He serves the profession. He owns a company called Network Marketing Pro. He's the author of a book called GoPro. They've sold millions and millions of copies. He doesn't really put his name on any companies, but he did decide to put his name on Uforia. In fact, Network Marketing Pro is the training arm of this company, and that's never been done before. And I can tell you that when I first looked at that and I saw the track record of success, the credibility here, I said, okay, if these guys are doing something, then I have a feeling this is going to be big. So that was really the first thing. And then from there, I look at the uniqueness of the product story. I'm spelling this wrong, but uniqueness of the product story. And, in the industry of network marketing, there's a book that I'm fond of called Blue Ocean Strategy. And in this book, they talk about 2 different marketing conditions. The first, they talk about a red ocean. A red ocean is a fiercely competitive market, very cutthroat environment. The author describes it as, quote, bloody, murky waters. And if you look at the industry as a whole, we see somewhat of a red ocean. Let's just take a couple of popular categories today. So CBD. CBD is hot, right? I mean, you see CBD everywhere. Well, there were 31 network marketing companies launched in 2019 alone, just in the CBD category. There's some good companies in there, but that's not a market that I want to be a part of. I drove around the corner the other day, right over to the Chevron, and walked in, and right on the shelf, on the front shelf, were all these CBD products sitting at the gas station. And that saying about when the taxi driver starts giving you financial advice and talking about investment, it's too late. Well, kind of feel the same way about your products being on a shelf at a gas station, right? CBD is everywhere today. So that's not a market that I would want to compete in. Coffee, weight loss coffee. It started out in around 2012. Organo Gold came out with this brilliant idea. So many people drink coffee. Let's create healthy coffee and weight loss coffee. And that company boomed. And then from there, you saw all of these coffee companies follow suit, and they're still following suit. And they just kind of change their story a little bit. They all kind of start with the same foundation, and they put a little bit of a sprinkle of a new ingredient in there. And now you have happy coffee companies, right? Or happy coffee weight loss companies. And again, some good, I have friends in some of these companies, and I wish them nothing but success. But for me, that's a red ocean. When I looked at what we're doing here with Uforia, with DNA Nutrition, I liked the fact that we were the one and only. I liked that we were unique in the marketplace. I liked the product story. I liked the idea that we were also, another thing that I look at, I liked the fact that we were positioned in front of emerging trends. We've always done well in this industry, identifying a unique product or technology that's positioned in front of the trends, right? Figure out where people are going and try to get there faster. It's a formula for success. So for me, when I started researching not just DNA nutrition, first of all, DNA is such a big buzzword right now. I mean, I don't know if 5, 6, 7 years ago, the story would have been as relevant as it is today. But today, you look at Ancestry.com. You look at 23andMe. Do you guys realize that in 2018, those were the #1 gifts given at Christmas time? So DNA is now a relevant conversation, and the conversation has evolved. So has the science, to the point where nutrigenomics in the study of our genes and how nutrition affects our genes, especially when it pertains in illness and disease, is starting to become well known. And as a result of all of that studies over the last 20 years, we now have the personalized healthcare market is projected to be worth $600 billion in 2020. So for me, 2020, this year, $600 billion. So, I want to figure out where people are going, and I really want to be the first to get there. Now, it doesn't mean that there won't be competition. It doesn't mean that there won't be another company that is eventually testing DNA and providing, some type of product, focused around DNA, and they already exist. Some of those companies are out there. But first to market always wins. And when you understand the history and the technology that we have with this product story, you realize the depth, right? The substance that's there, which kind of leads me to my next point. I was looking for substance, not hype. I've been in this industry a long time, and I've watched so many companies that just, they start off and they go like this, and then they just go like this. And I see this over and over and over again. And let me tell you what this sounds like. This is what it looks like. This is what it sounds like. You got to get in now. You got to get your spot. It's just $49. Listen, just get your spot right now. This thing's going to take off. It's going to go to the moon. Hey, listen, if you just take a spot, I've got somebody coming in tomorrow and somebody coming in the next day. And you know what? All those people will be below you. That's what hype sounds like. And let me tell you something. Who are these people that tend to get involved with an opportunity when there's that kind of hype? I'll tell you, it's people that want to get rich quick. They're trying to get lucky. They're trying to time an opportunity just right. They're hoping that, if you just put them in the right spot and the right positioning, that you're going to build it out for them, right? So these people all rush in, which causes this to happen. But there's a period of time, and it doesn't take that long, sometimes even short, like 1 to 2 years, maybe a little bit longer, where people start to realize, oh, you mean I actually have to go build this? Like, this is a business. Like, I have to go to work. I mean, I have to step outside of my comfort level. I have to, apply myself and if I want to earn more, I have to become more. And they start to understand the principles of network marketing, and they think, oh, well, this isn't what I signed up for, right? So you attract the wrong type of people. So I wasn't looking for hype. I was looking for substance. And what really drives substance? Customers, true product stories, right? I was looking for a customer acquisition model. I wanted something that the product really was the all-star. It's not that the opportunity isn't great, but what makes the opportunity great isn't timing, right? I mean, I love our timing. We're in pre-launch right now, and there's no question I'd rather be first than last, and I think timing is important, but it's not everything. But if that's what your opportunity is and that's what you're selling, then you're eventually going to run out of timing, and you're eventually going to run out of all of those hyped up opportunities to get in a power leg because this thing is just exploding, right? And so for me, I wanted a customer acquisition model. Now, let me tell you about our products for just a moment. If you don't understand, if you've never been a part of or had a chance to watch one of our presentations, everything starts with a DNA kit. Everything starts with a DNA kit, and the way that it works is we have something called pre-trition inside this kit, and this pre-trition is your 30-day cleanse. It's designed to prepare your body for your customized nutrition. So inside of pre-trition, you have all kinds of amazing ingredients. I mean, we're talking about digestive enzymes, prebiotics, all kinds of ingredients that target inflammation in the body, ingredients like AC11, which has 8 different patents, that is one of the only known substances on the planet that can literally regrow your telomeres. As you get older, your telomeres get smaller, and that's where the aging process comes from. So all kinds of amazing products just in this: superfoods, vitamins, herbs. I mean, amazing. You'd go spend about $800 just to get what's inside of just this box of pre-trition. So you take that for about 30 days. You also start taking it. You do your swab test. You swab your right cheek and left cheek. You put it into a prepackaged envelope, and it goes off to a lab. Now, the lab is HIPAA and CLIA certified, so your information is safe and secure. It's never shared. It's never sold. And then you get this 35-page wellness report that comes back. And inside of this report, it tells you which genes that you've inherited that are linked to major illness and disease that we face as a society today, from mom and dad, which genes you've inherited. And then what they do is they pair up your DNA and the results of your DNA test to nearly 100 different plant-based, non-GMO, vegan-friendly, gluten-free ingredients. Every single ingredient has no less than 2 independent peer-reviewed studies that links those ingredients back to your DNA. And you end up getting not only this 35-page report that's like a roadmap to your optimal health, but then you end up getting your own customized formulation of nutrition. We call it nutrition because there's nearly 400 million possible combinations. No 2 are ever the same, and yours is one of them. And I got to tell you guys that when I saw that, the thing that I hear the most, it just makes sense. That just makes sense. It doesn't make sense that we would all take the same vitamins and supplements when we're so unique, we're so different, right? The things I'm struggling with are different than the things you're struggling with, right? They found that 99% of our DNA is identical, but that 1%, right, is what makes you you. It's what makes you, beautifully unique. And that 1% is ultimately what we're talking about here is those particular genes that you've inherited that make you so special and unique, and also sometimes beautifully flawed, right? Because some of those genes are linked to illness and disease. And so what we're doing is we're essentially creating a custom blend of vitamins that's made for you, by you, and for you. It just makes sense. Right, at the end of the day, if you had a choice between a custom tailor-made designer suit and one that was sold at Kohl's, if all things were equal, which one are you choosing? Customization. Which one's going to produce better results? If I want to grow, if I want to go through a personal development program, I could either read Tony Robbins' book or I could get him to personally mentor me. Which one's going to produce better results? Customization. So for me, when I saw this, I loved the product story. I loved that we were the one and only. I loved and there are some other companies out there that are in the DNA conversation, but you have to understand the difference. We have what's called truly unique custom DNA designer nutrition, which means every single bottle is unique. No 2 are ever the same. The FDA considers each one of these a unique batch. Most of the companies out there today, if they do a DNA test, they basically categorize you and then they sell you prepackaged vitamins and supplements based on whichever category that you fall in. So to me, it just made sense. And I love that. And so I'm sitting here looking at this opportunity. I'm saying, okay, the owners and the uniqueness of the product story, and where are the trends going, and the substance in the marketplace. And I also wanted I wanted true retention, right? I'm not looking to just have a glorified sales job. I wanted to be able to know that if I go out and start to build an army of customers, that they're actually going to continue to order the products. And what I love the most, and I'm most proud of this, and this is kind of leading towards wrapping up the presentation tonight, what I'm most proud of about Summer and I have now been in this Uforia since we got enrolled right around October. We pre-launched January 12th of 2019. We're getting ready to go into our official launch next month, or kick off a series of launch events that are happening around the country. What I'm most proud of, you guys, and I've shown this to many of you that are on this tonight, that if you look at in our back office, And I got to touch on tools too. That was one of the other things that I was looking for, as a company that has some great tools and resources to build a business. So I got to remember to do that. But if you look at my back office, there's a graph. And in that graph, it'll show you, it'll show how many of the sales that came in that were new customers, right? We call it in the back office manual sales is what it's called. But it's basically new customers that are just getting started, that are just coming into the business. And then the rest of that is all based on auto ships, right? Auto ships are just people that are just repeat ordering their products. Now, in most traditional network marketing companies, and I'll tell you this because I know the numbers, I've consulted for them and we've had these conversations many times, the goal is to get here. How can we get this number higher, right? Because true auto ships, true customers, that's true retention, that's true stability, that's foundation. But ultimately what you find is about, in most companies, 50 to 60% of your volume that you produce on a monthly basis, and remember, that dictates what your check is, 50 to 60% of your volume is based on new pack volume coming in the door. That's why a lot of these companies, they want to sell you those big packs, right? Those $1,000, those $1,500 packs, because they're interested in trying to drive as much volume as they can on the front end. And so what I'm most proud of is that right now, currently this month, and even in last month as well, I'm currently running at 82% auto ships in my organization. 82% auto ships. And if you guys really understand how powerful that is, you'll understand why this presents such a unique opportunity in the marketplace. Excuse me one second. All right. So you'll understand why that creates such a unique opportunity in the marketplace, because it allows you to create true residual income, right? We're not just putting them in the front door as quickly as they're running out the back door, and it's just feeding the machine and feeding the machine and feeding the machine. You're actually building a customer force. And that's how you build true walkaway income. And that's how you build an income producing asset that has value, right? I mean, because if you can show that you've got a steady income stream based on auto ships, now you have an income producing asset. Let's say that asset is producing, let's say it's just producing $5,000 a year. Well, $5,000 a year or $5,000 a month, that's $60,000 per year. Well, $60,000 per year, if you can show a pattern of that over a couple of years, you're going to find that the value of that asset could be worth anywhere from 10 to 20 times the annual revenue. So even if it's 10 times, you've now developed a $600,000 asset, income producing asset, because you have a $5,000 a month residual income stream. Well, I would ask you to consider this. What are you working on right now? What are you working on right now that would allow you, that within a 1 to 2 year period, which I think is a very reasonable goal. Now, here's my disclaimer. I don't make any promises. There's no commitments. This is, you get what you put into it. So there's no guarantees with network marketing, just like there is with no business, right? If you go into real estate, there's no guarantees you're going to make any money. But let's say that you decided to go to work and put forth a little bit of time and effort and learn the system, and you create a revenue stream of $5,000 a month, and it took you 2 years to do that, to get to a steady, true residual income stream of $5,000 a month. Would it be worth it? Would it be worth it to know? Now, what if you just kept going, and what if you got to $10,000 a month, but it took you 3 to 4 years? Is there anything that you're working on right now in your life that would allow you to create a $10,000 residual income, right? True residual income inside of the next 3 or 4 years, that potentially, if you do that, minimum, it's worth $1 million asset. Could be worth more than that, depending on the stability and a number of different variables. But let's say conservatively, it's worth $1 million. Is there anything you're working on right now that in the next 3 to 4 years, working part-time, that you could develop to $1 million asset? I'm guessing that most of you are saying no, right? I mean, if you're working at a job, in 3 to 4 years, is your job going to create $1 million asset for you? Now, some of you might say, well, I could go start a business. You're right, but it's also going to require, to get to that type of level of income producing asset, you're going to have to come up with some serious money on the front end. And just the same, you're going to put in a lot more than a part-time effort. That's why network marketing is better. It's not perfect, but it's better. And that's the reason why I love this industry. And so when I look at Uforia, and I look at, finally, the tools, I wanted a company that provided great tools and resource. I look at Uforia today and looking at all of the videos and the app that they give us and the software system to manage our business and all of these amazing tools and resources. Guys, I would spend $100,000 gladly. Write a check today for $100,000 to be an independent franchise owner for Uforia. I'd do it in a heartbeat. Why? Because I have a virtually untapped market. Untapped market, just here in North America. Forget about the world. I mean, we're going to go global, but untapped market. I'm positioned in front of a huge trend of where the wellness industry is going. I'm first telling the story. You go call 100 people. I was talking to my friend William, who's on here tonight. William says, I talked to 100 people, Travis. It's crazy. I don't know if people are just like, what did you say today, William? He says, I don't know if people are just sitting on this thing or sitting on their hands. He says, but I can talk to 100 people and only one of them maybe has heard about this. And he says, that's incredible to me. He says, here's what he says. He says, I can't freaking believe it. Only 1 out of 100 might have heard of Uforia. It's so cool. Somebody must be sleeping on the job, or I'm just so early. In either case, man, I'm going to be free within the next 365 days. Quote. That's what William had to say. One of our new distributors that's crushing it. So I'll just share this with you guys. Network marketing, it's not perfect, but it's better. It's created an amazing lifestyle for my family. It doesn't mean that we haven't had our challenges, and we've had to go through processes where we've had our hard times and we've had to maybe rebuild, or companies merge or change. There's things that happen. It's business, right? Every product has a life cycle and different things. But what I can tell you is that I just can't find anything else that gives me the ability to be able to be at home. And having a daughter who, I have 6 children. I have my daughter who's 13 who came home not too long ago, and she said, Dad, I went to my friend's house after school to do a project. And I asked her, I says, where's your mom and dad? And she says, oh, they're at work. And she said, I forget sometimes that other people's parents have to work because you and mom are just home every day. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that my children have grown up in an environment where, they see their mom and dad. They've been to many of the events. They've heard all of the motivational speakers, and they've been taught to think bigger and dream bigger and to never settle. My son spoke at his first event when he was 12 years old about leadership and what it's been like to have his mom and dad at home. He's now chasing his own entrepreneurial dreams, and he's 20 years old, and he's killing it on the internet right now because of the skills that he's learned growing up in this profession. So I share that with you because this industry has made me rich. And I say that, and I hope some of you cringed, because I'm not talking about money, because I don't think that rich has anything to do with money. It's made me rich because I have the time freedom to enjoy my family. I have the love and respect of my peers, and I have the time freedom to be able to enjoy my family and live life on my own terms. That's what rich is to me. It's not about a monetary value. And I'm grateful for it. And yes, it took a couple of years to build. It took a couple of years where we were making $50,000, and then another full year of really committing before we got to a full-time income. But again, if you could do that in 3 or 4 years, would it be worth it to be able to live the rest of your life the way that you want to live your life? And I just tell you, I just think Uforia has such a huge future ahead of them. They're doing it right. They are doing it right. And I'm not saying that it's the only opportunity out there, but what I will tell you is that for me, I have set aside everything that I was working on to focus 100% on Uforia, because I know, I want you to hear me say this, the windows of opportunity in this industry don't open very often. They don't stay open very long, but when they're open, incredible things happen. And I know, I can tell you just from my experience that this company is moving from that pre-launch stage into a company that's going to go from no one knowing about it to everyone knowing about it. And William, I promise you, in 2 years, when you call 100 people, more than one of them will know about this. In fact, I think a large majority of them will have heard of Uforia and the solutions that we provide in the DNA nutrition market. And that creates such an opportunity for all of us. So if you're looking at this for the first time, my advice to you is to get back to the person that invited you here. Just know this, you will not fail here for lack of support. Know this may be outside of your comfort zone, but we're gonna teach you, we're gonna spoon feed you the critical knowledge that you need to be successful in this business. We're gonna teach you how to do it starting off in your part-time or spare time, and start teaching you how to create an additional revenue stream that can eventually turn into something like it has for my family. So with that, I want to say thank you very much for listening in tonight. Always appreciate, those of you that are just tuning in. And man, I'm just excited about the future, and I invite you guys to come and join us. So you guys have a wonderful evening. God bless and take care.